Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Marcy Bennett, the Director of the St. Joseph Convention and Visitors Bureau, and we are so pleased to have all of you here. What a great turnout. I've been with the Convention Bureau for many years, and back in about, I think it was 95, we started a sports commission. Kept it going for 3 or 4 years. It wasn't working real well, so we kind of mothballed it. And then several years ago, brought it back into being with Brett Easley and with the Board of Directors of the Sports Commission. And it is part of the St. Joseph Convention and Visitors Bureau. And we are so proud to be able to honor all of you and people that have meant so much to this community. And I would like to introduce you to the president of the St. Joseph Area Sports Commission, Mr. Keith Hackett.
Thanks, Marcy. I thought I was the chairman of the St. Joseph Sports Commission Board, but that's okay. President, chair, doesn't really matter. It's my privilege to be here tonight, and I'm so grateful to see all of our honorees and their families and their loved ones, people that are here to be a part of this event tonight. I've only been the chair of the commission for about a year. Moved here 5 years ago. Retired here 5 years ago, and just when Brett got here, when Brett took the role, I wrote him a little note, said, hey, if there's anything I can do for you, I'm happy to be involved. And I guess it's been a very, very good opportunity for me. But thanks to all of you that are here tonight, and my primary responsibility tonight is to introduce the main MC for tonight, the Executive Director of the St. Joseph Sports Commission, Mr. Brett Easley.
How's everybody doing this evening? Everybody feeling good? If you were expecting 6'5", 250, you're out of luck. It is absolutely wonderful to be here this evening in front of all of you, a capacity crowd, a standing room only crowd. And how about our St. Joseph Area Sports Hall of Fame class of 2025? They deserve nothing less, absolutely. I'm going to freestyle on the mic here tonight. Myself and podiums don't get along. They're about as tall as I am. You would never see me, which maybe that's not a bad thing, but I'm going to freestyle in front of you here tonight, ladies and gentlemen. You know, time flies when you're having fun. Hard to believe this is our 5th induction ceremony. It seems like we were just inducting our inaugural class only yesterday, and that was a mere 5 years ago. The mission of the St. Joseph Area Sports Hall of Fame is to recognize those individuals, teams, entities, significant feats, or accomplishments that have made a significant impact on sports history in St. Joseph and the Buchanan County area. Ladies and gentlemen, I think we all understand that these events don't happen without the support and commitment of our partners. We were fortunate this year. We had 63 sponsors at the St. Joseph Area Sports Hall of Fame. Many of those folks are here with us tonight, but we're honored this evening for the 3rd consecutive year. Let's give a big round of applause to our title sponsor of the St. Joseph Area Sports Hall of Fame, our friends at Eighth Brothers Ag. I think Reed might be with us here this evening. He said he was going to try to make it. For those not familiar with Eighth Brothers, they are an industry leader in providing farmers with any resource they need to run a smooth and efficient farming operation. The business was formed by the Eighth Brothers, 3 to be exact, in 2013 to carry on the legacy of their father, who had farmed for more than 25 years, in which the business is built on endless hard work, traits they really define, frankly, they really define a Hall of Fame career. Reed Atha, again, is here with us tonight, and on behalf of myself, our board of directors, Reed, thank you so much, and another big round of applause for our title sponsor, Eighth Brothers Ag. Well, as you just heard a little bit, the St. Joseph Area Sports Hall of Fame is owned and operated by the St. Joseph Missouri Sports Commission, which is a division of the St. Joseph Convention and Visitors Bureau. As Marcy mentioned, our sports commission was founded in the late 90s. I had the good fortune to come on board in January of 2022. Scary to believe that it's been 4+ years ago now, and I think it's safe to say time flies when you're having fun. We had a mission at the Sports Commission to partner, create, enhance, or attract sporting events to come to Buchanan County that not only fit a niche here, but also bring people to Buchanan County. We had a goal, we thought, to host 7 to 10 events on an annual basis that you in the crowd or folks here in Buchanan County would say, that's an event of the St. Joseph, Missouri Sports Commission. Well, ladies and gentlemen, this year we're proud to share with you that we have 18 events on our annual calendar. Anywhere from the event you're at tonight in our St. Joseph Area Sports Hall of Fame. We are hosting 2 Missouri State High School championships here in St. Joseph beginning in November. All 5 classes of Missouri State girls volleyball will be played at Civic Arena. In December, we have the good fortune of hosting all 7 Missouri State High School football championship games at Spratt Stadium on the campus of Missouri Western State University. We have 7 events in the final 8 weeks of the year, including an event that we just announced about a month ago. We continue our partnership with Kansas State Women's Basketball as they will take on Ole Miss on December 7th in our 3rd annual Coach Bill Snyder Classic, in which Coach Snyder is here with us this evening. Let's give Coach Snyder a big round of applause. Finally, I'd be remiss if I didn't point out that our 3rd annual St. Joseph, Missouri Marathon is in a mere 1 month from next week. I'll trust all of you in the crowd are training, hopefully. And if you're sitting there saying, ain't no way I'm running that marathon, that's okay, because you can run a half marathon, a 10K, or a 5K, and you can still have time to sign up at stjomosports.com. This is all firsthand proof, ladies and gentlemen, that validates that the St. Joseph Sports Commission is growing very rapidly. And it's an appropriate moment at this time that we recognize a couple of folks who had the vision for what a sports commission could look like in St. Joseph and Buchanan County. The first person of which you met, who was kind to introduce me this evening, how about a big round of applause for the Executive Director of the St. Joseph Convention and Visitors Bureau, Ms. Marcy Bennett. And secondly, the man that had the vision for what a sports commission could look like in St. Joseph and Buchanan County, the late Mr. Frank O'Malley. I know his son Pat is here this evening. We might have some other members of the O'Malley family here tonight. Always enjoy getting together with Pat and visiting with him about a lot of things. I only had the good fortune to meet Mr. O'Malley one time, and that was right when we were getting the sports commission back together. And when we looked at bylaws and mission statements and things of that nature, it's just been awesome to carry out Frank's vision, and I hope he would be very proud. And tonight, to share some thoughts on Frank, some good stories, and to give another little bit of welcome, I'd like to bring to the podium a good friend of many in the room, an original St. Joseph, Missouri Sports Commission board member, still a current board member, and all in all St. Joseph, Missouri historian. Please give a big round of applause for Mr. Bob Slater.
Brett says, take your time. I have no choice. I'm going to report to South Bend over the handicap. There's no railing here. They haven't had one for 3 years. Every year Brett has helped me up here. But, I became acquainted with Frank 75 years ago this month down football practice at St. Benedict, down Benedict. But I think I've done a lot of biographical information about Frank in the program. I've got a couple of stories that would illustrate what type of guy Frank was. When Frank came to Benedict's, they were not very good in football. And he went back home in his first year. His Benwood chum said, Frank, how'd you do? Frank said, 5-5. He didn't explain it. They lost 5 at home and 5 on the road. That's Frank. He always saw the positive side of everything. Frank had a motto, said sometimes, rather than permission, it's best just go ahead and do it, ask forgiveness afterwards. For about 10 years, Frank got a group of 6 people to go to South Bend every year for a Notre Dame football game. And listen to for Frank O'Malley, you don't experience life. One story comes to mind. We come to South Bend one day for a Michigan game. We from the whole Holiday Inn Hotel there, Frank goes up. Frank O'Malley, 3 rooms, 2 nights. Mr. O'Malley, we don't have a reservation for you. Yes, I made myself. No, I said, we don't have Let me speak to your manager. So this young guy comes out, 35 years old, very young to me, of course. Frank said, "You made a mistake. I need 3 rooms. We don't have to full." Frank said, "Hey, I'm Frank O'Malley, head of Armed Forces Sports from the Pentagon." He's been retired 10 years. He didn't mention this. He said, "I need to talk to the corporate CEO." This old guy, the kid's scared to death, you know, so he calls the corporate CEO, and sure enough, Frank gets to the phone. The conversation's not going well. Frank's face is very grim. He keeps on talking. Finally he said, "Okay, don't hang up. I'm about to have a heart attack." He said, "Better take my pill. But keep on, I want to talk to you after the pill." He reached in his pocket, pulled out the minute or something, I put in his mouth, said, "Well, okay, I'm ready to go now. We can talk again." I guess this guy can see that some type of Pentagon clapped in the hotel lobby. So Frank all of a sudden starts smiling. "We got the rooms." Like Frank often does. On another occasion, we're down at South Bend for the Southern Cal game. And after lunch, we walked around the Hall of Fame. And there, Frank said, it came on me and said, "Let these other 4 guys around. You're not going to talk to the athletic director." Says, "Frank, unless you write a $1 million check, you're not going to see the Southern Cal game athletic director that day." You go and Frank. So he said, walking on toward the athletic club, maybe 50 yards. So Frank said, "What's this guy's name?" I said, "Mike Wadsworth, and in Canada." Okay, so we walked into the office and Frank said, "I'm here to see Mike." 5 minutes ago, we didn't know the name. Now he's on first name basis. The secretary said, he's full up that. I know he wants to see me. He said, "I'm Frank O'Malley from Pentagon, Armed Forces Sports." So she said, "Well, let me check." So lo and behold, he said, "Well, he can't see right now. Come back an hour, he'll see." So we went and talked with Wadsworth, and not going to see us, but he agreed to come back to the lawn to talk at the Golden Stars banquet out there. And we got ready to leave that, Frank, as we were walking out, trying to get chair, the top 40-foot chair, desk at the athletic office. Frank said, "Is this where I picked up my parking pass?" Down the book, something said, "They just turned one in here, Frank," and Frank passed it. I looked at them, said, "Frank, this pass, you're a 9-iron. Bob Slater 9-iron, not Scotty Sheffield 9-iron. You're a 9-iron before we go to the stadium tomorrow." So this is, but that, the idea, if you don't ask, you're not going to get. But Frank had a way of getting things done. You know, you look at Frank, I think the thing I don't remember, Frank was, where's this all Irish, but Frank's had values very simple: faith, family, patriotism. I mean, Frank lived by that code. And people, Reverend Chan, Adam, please do your family give up Frank's philosophy. Sometimes I go, Frank, you know, I think you use faith, family, friends, and philanthropy. Frank's philosophy, 4 words all start with F. But I'll catch on. Frank was a very generous man, very great man. You know, I think that look back, what a privilege life getting around Frank O'Malley with this. Two of my partners say just as Frank would say to you, God bless you all. Thank you very much.
I was all they could come up with. I was the best bodyguard they could come up with, Bob. How about a big round of applause for the legendary Bob Slater, ladies and gentlemen? I could listen to those stories all the time, and definitely it's always great to remember the memory of Mr. Frank O'Malley, in which our ceremony will always be conducted in memory and honor of Mr. O'Malley. This time I'd like to recognize some VIPs who are here with us this evening. We've got some current St. Joseph Area Sports Hall of Fame inductees that are here with us tonight. I would start with members of our inaugural class 2021. As I've already introduced once, we'll meet him here in a few more moments. But how about a round of applause for Coach Bill Snyder, member of the 2021 class. And then we also have several members of our team inductees from 2021. How about a big round of applause for members of the crowd that are with us from our team, Meyerhofer Fast Pitch and the St. Joe Frontier Casino players. Give them a round of applause. Class of 2022 Hall of Fame member Mr. Tom Smith is here tonight. Coach Smith. We've got a couple of family members from our Class of 2022 team. I'll get a big round of applause for Herzog Motorsports. I also think I saw a couple of members of the Scott family, Class of 2024, the late Bill Scott. Give members of the Scott family a big round of applause. You met him a little bit earlier, but I also want to recognize our current chairman of the 2025 St. Joseph Area Sports Commission Board of Directors, Mr. Keith Hackett. Also want to recognize our immediate past chair. Give a big round of applause for Mrs. Patsy Smith. Patsy's here with us tonight. We also appreciate the Mayor of St. Joseph, Missouri, taking time out of his schedule to come. I've got a big round of applause for Mr. John Josendale, ladies and gentlemen. I also know Buchanan County Western District Commissioner and also Sports Commission Board Member, Hall of Fame Steering Committee Member, Mr. Ron Hook is with us tonight. Thank you, Mr. Hook. And I also want to recognize any Buchanan County Tourism Board members that I have not recognized or Sports Commission Board members. Please give them a big round of applause for what all they do for us. You know, as I've alluded to, these events do not happen without the support of our sponsors. And tonight, before we officially begin the enshrinement portion of the program, we'd like to recognize them. First, our Sports Commission Foundation partners, who are the backbone and support of the Commission's mission and have made our quick growth possible. They are folks who truly believe in our community and believe in its development through sport. We're highly thankful that we now have 12 foundation partners of the St. Joseph Sports Commission. These partners are the Hilliard Companies, and I think Bill Grimwood's with us tonight. Give the Hilliard Companies a round of applause. Ellison Oxshire Architects, who was with us from the beginning, foundation partner. I know Lori Wilson is here tonight representing Ellison Oxshire. I also think we have some good folks in the room from Altec Industries. Carolyn Sowers, give Altec a big round of applause. And then we got a group here tonight from Gray Manufacturing. Give the good folks at Gray a big round of applause. I'd like to salute the folks that keep us running internet-wise. A big round of applause for United Fiber. I don't know if Corey or Lonnie are here tonight, but a round of applause for BMS Logistics and Right Pack Inc. And also a foundation partner since the beginning, the good folks from Rogers Pharmacy. I know Chip and Pam Brock are here tonight. Give Rogers a round of applause. We're extremely fortunate that we have 3 new foundation partners this year. A big round of applause for the good folks from Hy-Vee. And it's always been great dealing with the good members of the Bachman family, Ron and Jeff and crew from St. Joe Petroleum and Fast Gas. And last but certainly not least, and I know he and his wife are here tonight, a big round of applause for Shelter Insurance Agent, Mr. John Anderson. The foundation partners of the St. Joseph, Missouri Sports Commission. Thank you very much. I'd also like to recognize our major event partners that are here tonight. Also, in addition to being a foundation partner, our social hour tonight was sponsored by Ellison Oxshire Architects. In a matter of moments, we will meet the winner of the 2025 Coach Bill Snyder Woman of Impact Award, which is proudly presented by Commerce Bank. Tonight's awards were made possible by E.L. Crawford Construction. Our Special Olympics Athlete of the Year, who will meet here momentarily, is presented by the Hook Family Foundation. Thank you very much, Hook Family. And the formal enshrinement portion of the program is sponsored by Rogers Pharmacy. Please give all these folks a big round of applause. Next, we have 8 patron sponsors this year. They are shown on your screen, and they are also in the program. Please give a big round of applause for these folks and their kind support. And I'd also like to give a big shout out to our lead patron sponsor who helps make our print products possible. A big round of applause to the good folks in the athletics department of Missouri Western State University. Before we move into the enshrinement portion of the program, you have, and you will hear me say tonight a lot, use the word impact. That's one of the main focuses we operate on at the St. Joseph Sports Commission. How can we make an impact daily? Whether that's in sports, whether that's in the community, whether that's just being a good partner or showing up and lending a helping hand, it is important to give impact. And with that, the continued theme tonight, again, of our honorees, impact. And so without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, at this time it gives us great pleasure to recognize our 2025 Coach Bill Snyder Woman of Impact Award winner, presented by Commerce Bank. The Hall of Fame Committee established this award in 2022 in celebration of the 50th anniversary of Title IX. The award is presented to a female athlete, coach, administrator, or contributor in sports in our county who accomplished elite achievement over the past year. The award is named after Coach Snyder as a tribute to the leadership and mentorship that his mother Marianetta played in shaping his life, in which Coach is always so very kind to come back and be a part of the presentation of the award, in which at this time it gives me great pleasure to welcome St. Joseph Area Sports Hall of Fame inductee class of 2021, Coach Bill Snyder, to the stage as we meet our 2025 Woman of Impact. Coach Snyder.
Thank you very much. I was honored to announce the winner of this award, which is very, very special to me. Special to me because I was raised by a fantastic person, my mother, who raised me at 508 North 5th Street in St. Joseph, Missouri, third floor of an apartment house, one room apartment, not one bedroom, one room. My room was a Murphy bed out of the wall. My mother's bed was a roll-away cot that I would roll in every evening and place next to my bed. And that was my beginning. And here in St. Joseph, Missouri, where I was born. And it was whatever degree of accomplishment or success or joy that I've had in life has all come through that woman. And to have the honor to recognize the Woman of Impact is really special to me, and I will read the introduction here. Our 2025 Woman of Impact recipient is Allie Perry. A native of St. Joe and a graduate of Central High School. Recently completed a freshman season on the women's golf team at the University of Arkansas at Fort Smith. After winning the Missouri State High School Class 5 Individual State Championship her senior season at Central, she continued her success in leading the Lions with a 73 scoring average this past season. And she was named the MIAA Freshman of the Year. Very special recognition. Her pinnacle moment of the 24-25 season was winning the NC2A Division II Central Regional Individual Championship at Kicking Bird Golf Club in Edmond, Oklahoma. She shot rounds of 72, 66, and 71. Good for 1 under par for the championship, which qualified her and her teammates to compete at the NC2A National Championship in Boulder City, Nevada, for the first time in program history. Allie also had an excellent freshman year in the classroom as she was named the MGCA All-American Scholar. Congratulations, Allie. So very, very well.
So Allie, we're going to watch a quick video about you first.
Perfect.
That'd be fun, wouldn't it?
You don't get to have the credentials that Allie Perry has if you're not willing to sacrifice the time and put in the work.
Allie Perry is one of the best golfers to come out of St. Joseph, and her career is really just getting started. Perry winning the Missouri State High School Class 5 Individual State Championship her senior season at Central in the fall of 2023.
Allie Perry!
She talks through every shot and she just visualizes what she's going to do. She verbalizes what she's going to do.
The state championship propelling a great high school career into a standout freshman season at the University of Arkansas Fort Smith this past year.
This is not something that just came because I'm gifted. It came because she was willing to work at it.
She led the Lions with a 73.71 scoring average and earned MIAA Freshman of the Year honors, also winning the NCAA Division II Central Region individual title and helping Arkansas Fort Smith qualify for the NCAA National Championship.
Allie plays her best and does her best when the chips are down. When people have counted her out and you don't think that she can respond, she always has.
Her accolades and honors keep on coming with every year she plays, and even in the classroom, Perry being named an All-American Scholar. And here in her hometown, Perry being named the 2025 Bill Snyder Woman of Impact Award recipient.
Hello everybody. Oh my goodness, this is absolutely crazy. I just want to start off by saying thank you to the St. Joseph Sports Commission, Brett Easley and Bill Snyder for presenting and choosing me for this amazing honor. I mean, I feel so honored for all of the stuff that, it's just crazy to me that, I mean, my accomplishments are paying off and everything like that, and I just feel so very honored. I want to give a shout out actually to Mowila Country Club. That place is like a second home to me, and all of the supporters out there. I mean, I just feel so honored to be surrounded by such a loving community. I want to say thank you to my family, my friends, my supporters, teammates, and coaches for everything. I seriously wouldn't be where I am today without them. I'm honored, I really am. And I think it's very fitting that I give a shout out to someone here, Mike Habermail. Ever since I started golf, you know, I did his junior program and everything, and he gave me all the lessons, tips, and tricks. Do I use them on the golf course? Sometimes I try to. It doesn't always work, but I just feel so honored, and you've had such a positive impact on me, on my golf game, and just in my life in general. So thank you everybody for all the endless support, and I really appreciate it. Thank you.
Well done, Allie. Congratulations. Wonderful speech, too, by the way. Well done. Well, ladies and gentlemen, the time has come. It is time to enshrine the St. Joseph Area Sports Hall of Fame Class 2025. To be eligible for enshrinement in the St. Joseph Area Sports Hall of Fame, our inductees have to meet one of the three criteria, and that is be born in Buchanan County, be contributing to sports in Buchanan County at the present time, or have contributed to sports in Buchanan County. And a lot of people say, well, what's the difference in those two bullet points? Our Hall of Fame does not require you to be retired to be inducted. There will be no more than 10 individual inductees in any 1 year, no more than one team in any one class, and nominations stay active for a 5-year time period in which our class is selected every year by anonymous committee in late April. We notify the class in May, and then we release the class publicly in early June every year. You know, all Hall of Fame classes are elite and unique. I have to tell you, I chuckle every time somebody says, wow, you've got a really good Hall of Fame class this year. My comeback every time is, well, it wouldn't be a Hall of Fame class if it wasn't great, right? All Hall of Fame classes are great, but I will tell you this. All Hall of Fame classes take on a personality. Fortunate that we've got excellent media coverage of this event every year. And I get the question every year because they know I'm going to touch on it. They say, well, Brett, what personality does this class take on? And as I mentioned at the top, I've been very fortunate that I've known several members of this class for several years. But I've had the good fortune of meeting several members of this class for the first time over the last 3 months. But when I look at the bios of this class, to me, it came to me very quickly the personality that this class takes on. Not only are these men and women excellent at what they do in their own craft, but the word mentorship comes to mind. Mentorship. Not only do these folks strive to be great in what they do, but when I read these bios, especially when I know what they're doing now, and especially when I've had the opportunity to work with a lot of these folks over the years, not only are they great at what they do, they are really good mentors. They want people to be successful. They want to help people get involved in their trade, their profession. And so, mentorship. You'll hear me use that term tonight a lot with impact. Before we meet the class of 2025, I would also like to thank all of our inductee sponsors for your outstanding support of this year's event. Inductee sponsors are shown on the screen and will be portrayed during each inductee segment of the program and are also showcased in our annual calendar, which was on your seat when you walked in tonight. Please join me in giving all of these entities a big round of applause. And also, I want to give one more big shout out to Rogers Pharmacy for being tonight's enshrinement sponsor. Ladies and gentlemen, our first inductee this evening is the Special Olympics Area Athlete of the Year. From day one, with the outstanding history Special Olympics has in Northwest Missouri, our committee felt it right to include this recognition as part of our Hall of Fame ceremony each year. This year's inductee has made his impact in multiple sports, not only in competing, but also moving on to coaching and mentoring, helping other aspiring athletes achieve their goals. And to introduce tonight's recipient, I'd like to invite Buchanan County Western District Commissioner and Sports Commission Board Member and sponsor of the Special Olympics Athlete of the Year, Mr. Ron Hook, to the stage. Ron.
Thank you, Brett. Thank you all for showing up. This is a great event, and it's great because it recognizes future, past, and present athletes that will hopefully stay on this stage one day. So thank you all for being here. Chris Ringett. Chris Ringett is a great individual. This is the 5th Special Olympics athlete that we've honored on this stage. Chris has been legendary Special Olympian. In 2005, he graduated from Savannah High School. He participated in multiple sports, including swimming, basketball, golf, flag football, powerlifting, and I think there's a couple other in there that wasn't mentioned. He does a great job in all that he does. He gives his heart and soul to it. He's represented Special Olympics Missouri in the first national games held in Ames, Iowa in 2006, and a member of the aquatics team. He's medaled in all 3 of his events against the athletes from around the United States and the world. Chris also had an opportunity to represent Special Olympics Missouri as part of the aquatics team on the Team USA at the World Games in Athens, Greece. Chris was selected to become a member of the Missouri Sports Hall of Fame for Special Olympians in 2023. Chris is excellent and has excelled, especially in the pool. He gives back to that sport as he's volunteered as a swim buddy for young athletes. He is the athlete representative for the Special Olympics Missouri Strategic Planning Council. His favorite things about being involved is talking to people about Special Olympics and meeting people from all over the area, the state, the country, and the world. Chris has been supported for many years of his athletic endeavors by his father, Terry, his mother, Mary, his sister, Carrie, and brother-in-law, Nick. He has aunts and uncle here, Doris and Kirk. and especially his wife, Carissa, there it is, Carissa. And so they're all here to support him. And so at this time, I'd like to introduce to you Chris Ringgold.
Chris, we're actually going to watch a video play for you.
He has always loved and valued Special Olympics and the Special Olympics community.
Almost 30 years of legendary Special Olympic moments. Chris Ringgold, a multi-sport, multi-time Hall of Famer.
Over the years, he has grown into a very good athlete. He is also a good mentor. He has helped his mother in our swim program for years.
A 2005 Savannah High School graduate, Ringgold competing in a lot of sports, finding a lot of his success in the pool.
It gave him the opportunity to be able to compete in a competition that he really enjoyed.
I'm just always, again, so happy when people see his hard work, his heart in action, how much he truly loves sports and Special Olympics and people and giving back.
Representing Special Olympics Missouri at the first National Games in 2006. Bringing home medals in all 3 of his events, Ringgold's success was just getting started. Swimming for Team USA at the World Games in Athens, Greece in 2011, and once again medaling in all 3 of his events. His story doesn't stop there. Ringgold inducted into the Missouri Sports Hall of Fame for Special Olympics in 2023, and has become a certified Special Olympics aquatics coach and a global messenger.
When you show up to a swim practice with your child who has Down syndrome and the coach has Down syndrome, like, okay, awesome, like, this is totally possible. Like, let's stop talking about what's not possible because we're watching it in action.
Special Olympics gave Ringgold a platform and a stage to shine on. He is the St. Joseph Sports Commission's 2025 Special Olympics Area Athlete of the Year.
Wow, what a video. Okay, I want to start off by saying thank you to the St. Joseph Sports Commission for this honor, and thank you to my family, coaches, and my teammates, and friends who have supported me every step of the way. Being part of Special Olympics has given me so much more than medals or trophies. It has given me confidence, friendships, I think I said that, no. Friendships and a chance to show what people with disabilities can do. We are given to the opportunity. Every practice, every game, every competition taught me that hard work, determination, that and heart can take you far. Both and on and off the playing field, I'm proud of what I accomplished in Special Olympic sports. I am most proud of becoming a coach and coaching young athletes in swimming. There were many athletes who paved the way for me so that I could accomplish things that I thought were impossible. Now I have the opportunity to help the new generation of Special Olympics athletes be leading their dreams, and I will tell them all our dreams can come true if we have courage to pursue them. And of course, it's kind of fun to do the impossible. This award is not just about me. It's about every Special Olympian who puts in the effort and plays with pride. I hope my story reminds others that no matter what challenges you face, you can achieve great things if you keep pushing forward. I am proud to represent St. Joseph, proud to be the recipient for Special Olympics, and feel grateful to be part of this community. And thank you for this honor.
Well done, my friend. Congratulations, Chris. Our next inductee into the 2025 class was a trailblazing broadcaster whose voice was synonymous with all things St. Joseph. For more than 40 years, you could hear Bob Orff's voice early in the morning, late at night, and in some cases halfway across the country with the mighty signal of 680 KFEQ. Not only did Bob love the community, but Bob loved sports, specifically local sports. While carrying Missouri Western football over the airs for many years, with the rise back to national prominence in Griffin men's basketball, Bob advocated to carry these games over the air beginning in the late 80s, a plea that he won, which then led to Griffin women's basketball joining the men on 680 a few years later, in which Bob traveled the country, bringing the Griffins into living rooms wherever they were playing. Bob also had a love of boxing, being the ring announcer for many bouts at Civic Arena, including one promoted by Don King. Yes, the two had similar hair in those days. I've seen the picture. But with all of Bob's talents, he's one of the more humble people I've ever met. He has been a mentor to many, including myself. And it's an honor to enshrine Bob tonight. Let's take a look back. The longtime voice of the Griffins in KFEQ, Bob Orff.
The thing about Bob is he's very professional, just ultimate professional, but he's fun. And he made sports fun, and he knew that sports was the entertainment side.
A voice of some of the biggest moments in Missouri Western sports history.
Ball is long enough. It's long enough.
Bob Orff started at 680 KFEQ in 1974. The beginning of 4 decades of passion and energy on the radio.
And in radio, you got to paint words with pictures, and you got to be able to describe the scene. And Bob was a master of it that made it easy to listen, where you didn't have to use a lot of imagination.
A calming yet energizing voice to those listening to the Griffins. Orff's storytelling, professionalism, and passion bringing people closer to the action.
The audience deserved a professional broadcast. They deserved your best, no matter what was going on the court or on the field. And I think that's the thing that Bob really instilled in me.
A professional career filled with numerous awards and memorable moments, including being the ring announcer for several major boxing matches at Civic Arena and meeting legendary promoter Don King.
Everybody that listened to KFEQ knew his voice and knew his optimism and knew his passion for Missouri Western.
Orff's career, a Hall of Fame career, will be remembered forever. The Missouri Western Athletics Hall of Famer now taking his spot in the St. Joseph Area Sports Hall of Fame.
I mean, he will always be the voice of the Griffins.
He's going to go for a touchdown.
Ladies and gentlemen, 2025 St. Joseph Area Sports Hall of Fame inductee, the voice of KFEQ, the voice of the Griffins. Give it up for Mr. Bob Orff!
You give me a microphone, the guy working in radio?
Absolutely, always. All right, you're on, my friend. I'll hold you. I will.
Well, thank you, Brad. Thank you to the Sports Commission for this honor. It really is a big deal. Did I have any idea it was going to happen? I did not. Absolutely had no indication, but I really appreciate it. I'd like to thank the people that mean the most to me. First, it would be my wife, Kathy. She's been with me by my side and helping me for a long time. 4 days from today, we'll be married 54 years. I still find that hard to believe she said yes. Maybe she said, we'll think about it. Anyway, I'd like to thank her from the bottom of my heart. She drove me up here. If she hadn't, I'd be on the shoulder by 29 going about 4 miles an hour. And there are a lot of charging stations on the way. So I'd like to thank my daughters too. Kristen and Erica, they're just great girls, just wonderful. And they've been a big part of my life, and I thank them, and I thank their husbands, Dustin and Tyson. They're just really great. They do a lot of things for me. A lot of people complain about their brother-in-laws or their daughter-in-laws. Not me. I got great kids and great in-laws. I really do. And my grandkids. It's hard to believe that Beckett is in college. He's a shocker. He's at Wichita State. And he's on scholarship, so we're very proud of him. And to Perry and to Harper, really appreciate those girls. They're wonderful. They really are. They're amazing. I was lucky enough to do some ring announcing, boxing. And I was fortunate to do a couple of events that were live on NBC TV, one on ESPN and one on Madison Square Garden Sports. And those were live. They weren't taped and shown at 2:30 in the morning when no one's listening. But it was a big deal for St. Joe. There was a period of time when St. Joe was considered, next to Vegas, was the biggest boxing capital of the world, next to Las Vegas. And it happened for a number of years. I was fortunate to do those TV shows, and it was just a lot of fun doing those because a guy by the name of Peyton Scher out of Kansas City passed away a number of years ago. But Peyton was a guy that all said, hey, came to me, knew I was working on radio, so would you like to do the ring announcing? I said, yeah, I don't know what the hell I'm doing, but yeah, I'd like to do that. So he said, well, here's what you do, blah, blah, blah. So I said, yeah, I'll do that. Did those ones on TV, Marv Albert and Ferdy Pacheco, I don't know if people remember those days. They were the guys that came to St. Joe to do the NBC fights. And they were great, and they were fun to work with and get introduced by and talk to later. I'd also like to talk about one event that happened. It was not on TV, but a lot of people from St. Joe were there. It was a fight when a guy by the name of Larry Holmes had a brother. Larry Holmes was former heavyweight champ of the world, and most people consider him second behind Muhammad Ali as the greatest heavyweight fighter ever. And anyway, his brother was going to fight, Mark Holmes. So he was coming to town, Peyton Scher called me, would you like to do those fights? I said, well, sure, yeah, I'd like to do that. So I was fortunate enough to do that and come in and do the ring announcing for that. So the fights go on, it's a great night, there's 3,200, 3,300, something like that in the Civic Arena. And I would estimate that every person in the Civic Arena had a minimum of 2 adult beverages. And some had way more than that. And they were cranked up and they were ready for action, I'll tell you that. So I'm sitting there ringside with Peyton Scher. I said, Bob, it's about time to go up there and bring Larry Holmes up there. I said, okay. I look across the way and there's Don King sitting there. chomping on a cigar, smoke's rolling up to the roof of the Civic Arena. It's great to smoke when people are boxing, you know, that's always a good thing. But anyway, he was chomping on that cigar, his hair had to be, I'd say it was up to the third ring. I mean, the ropes on that ring were not higher than his hair, I'll tell you that. Next to him there's Larry Holmes. He's wearing, you know, $700, $800 designer suit. Nowadays it'd be $2,000 probably. He was sitting there looking like he could jump in the ring and fight right then. And then next to him is this beautiful woman. Boy, his wife is just not that gorgeous, really beautiful woman. And so I said, Bob, time to head up there and do it. Okay. I said, hey, I got an idea. I'll just introduce his wife real quick, and she can wave from the crowd sitting there by the ring. And then he'd come up, Peyton Shearer. He looked at me, he snapped his head. I could hear his neck pop. He looked at me and his eyes got big as saucers, and he said, that's not his wife. That's his girlfriend. If you said that, he'd kill you. I'm going to see it right now. Steve Brewer of the News Press would have been an article there. Local ring announcer killed by former heavyweight champion. So I said, oh man. So okay, I got up there, introduced Larry Holmes, not his girlfriend. And he waved the crowd, it was great. Mark Holmes was undefeated at that time. He won his bout. Crowd went crazy, it was great. Later on, I got a picture with my friend Tracy Walmer, along with Larry Holmes. Tracy's here tonight. And we had that was great. And Peyton Shearer told me, he said, hey, after the fight, you want to get a picture with Don King? I said, oh yeah, I want to get that for sure. So I thought, I've already dodged one bullet. I went back to the Civic Arena dressing room, somewhere back there, and knocked on the door. This guy comes to the door, and he got right up in my face. And he said, what do you want? I said, well, I still like to come back here and get a picture with Don King. He said, wait right here, don't move. I'm like, oh, I'm not gonna move, not after what I almost did. So he looks at me, starts to pull away and walk away from me. And the guy's sport jacket comes open. And the guy's got a shoulder holster with a pistol in it. And he's packing heat. And I'm going, oh, holy Toledo. He goes back and he gets Don King. Don comes out, chomping on that cigar, smoking that thing. His hair was piled to the roof, man. I mean, way up there. And he said, boy, you did a great job doing that ring announce. That was a great job, great job. So I thought, you know, can I get a picture with you? Yeah, sure. Got a picture with Don King. And I thought about it afterwards. I almost introduced Larry Holmes' wife as his girlfriend, or girlfriend as his wife, depending on how you look at it. And I got lucky there. I almost, had the bodyguard shoot me with a gun. And I also, I had a picture taken with a guy. Don King served time in prison for manslaughter. So I'm thinking like, phew, that's like 3 on a match. That ain't good. I looked for the nearest exit and I went home after that. That was fun times doing all that stuff. I tell you what, I've got to put my card over. Yes, the other side of the card. What would my career have been like without broadcasting? Would have been the same. I was fortunate enough to get into radio at KFEQ, and I was fortunate enough in the mid and late 70s, early 80s, Paul Sweetgall came to Missouri Western. Before him, Jerry Myers was the SID of Missouri Western. We did a few games together off and on, late 70s into the 80s. But then in the late 80s, Paul Sweetgall was the sports information director. He took over, and he came to me one time and he said, Bob, what would it take to get the games on the radio? I said, well, I'd really like to do it. It'd be great. It'd be a wonderful thing. And I went to then General Manager Gene Miller. Gene's here tonight. And I asked Gene, I said, hey, let's put these games on KFEQ. Conventional wisdom would be you have the bigger program, which was Mizzou Athletics, put that on the big signal. I said, nah, let's do the other thing. Let's put Missouri Western on there. Make it known, do all that stuff. I was lucky that Gene said yes. And thank you, Gene, for doing that, by the way. That turned out great. I had a lot of great people I worked with. Brent Martin was the first guy I worked with. In the late 80s, early to mid 90s, we did a lot of games. Brent and I had a whole lot of fun, we really did. And then Kent Heyer came along. Kent Heyer used to work at KFEQ. Brent Martin is the news director right now, but Kent Heyer was in the news department. We did a lot of games. So before Kent leaves tonight, you might get him aside and ask him about the story of the guy who had a tarantula on his head. Kent will tell you more about that. I don't want to get into that right now. But we had a great time. I had a lot of fun memories during games. The word was that a guy by the name of Tom Smith was going to be the coach at Western. We'd heard of him and said, yeah, the guy's at Central Missouri State Warrensburg. That's a big deal, and he's going to come and be the coach at Western. Man, we had fun. We did games. We added the Missouri Western women in the mid-90s. Jeff Mitty of K-State, who was the guy that ended up doing the games. He was the guy that was head coach for Western Coast, and he took them to the Elite Eight in Fargo, North Dakota. And he was just a wonderful guy to work with. And Tom Smith, man, we had some great times doing games. And it's just a wonderful memory and a wonderful time being part of that. I'm glad Gene said yes, and I'm glad it all worked out for us as we did those games for a long time. A lot of memories, a lot of great games, and a lot of fun times. I want to thank Brent Martin and Tom Brand. They're the two guys that I think colluded to get me put in the Hall of Fame, and it's very nice of them to do that. And I was also very fortunate to work with Brett Easley for a long time. Brett was working at Western at the time. He was all busy with the home games, doing all the logistics and everything connected with that. But on road games, Brett Easley came with me, and we did the games. And he was a lot of fun to work with. We always had a deal on road trips. Wherever we went, Brett Easley would drive there, and coming back, I would drive back. It was just an agreement we had. Had a wonderful time. Thank you so much for this honor. I greatly appreciate it.
'25 St. Joseph Area Sports Hall of Famer Bob Orff. A quick way to Bob's heart is Code Red Mountain Dew, sunflower seeds, and a bottle of George Dickel. Probably wouldn't hurt him. Congratulations, Bob. Ladies and gentlemen, our next inductee into the class of 2025 portrays leadership and mentorship at the highest level. Coach Don Tabor, a leader and mentor to many on the football gridiron, the classroom, and the community, left a lifetime legacy and a career spanning more than 40 years. The first era of Coach's career was spent at Christian Brothers, which became Bishop LeBlond, in which in the mid-'80s, Tabor traded the purple and gold for red and black, making the transition to Benton High School. Tabor, who owns two of the most impressive eras in high school football coaching success in our city's history, as the decades of the 1970s produced, about this, a 26-game winning streak at LeBlond, and the era of the early 90s produced 4 consecutive playoff appearances at Benton, including his 1991 team that made it to the state championship game, still the only 11-man team to do so in St. Joseph history. And I think it's ironic Coach goes in this year, the year that all 7 Missouri State High School football state championship games will be played right here in St. Joseph. Ladies and gentlemen, let's look back on the football life of Coach Don Tabor.
Coach would hold you very accountable, and he may get on you a little bit, but it was because he cared.
Don Tabor started his coaching career at Christian Brothers High School in 1957, leading CB and Bishop LeBlond to impressive victories, including winning 26 straight games and a perfect 10-0 season.
His record spoke for himself, and particularly at LeBlond, we played up almost all the time, and we competed against those bigger schools.
After almost 30 years, Tabor moved to the South Side, taking over the Cardinals program, guiding Benton to some of the best years in the program's history. Tabor's Cardinals made it to 4 straight state playoffs, including 2 quarterfinal appearances, a semifinal appearance, and the city's lone 11-man team appearance in a state championship game.
Coach had this wide view, saying, hey, look, I know your dream. I know you have the capabilities. You might not know it, but I'm going to put you in a position to win. And I'm always thankful for that. And that's not something that, was spoken. He just knew it, and he was just acting on that.
Tabor finished with 178 wins and enshrined in multiple Hall of Fames. Don Tabor, a Hall of Fame coach, and those who played for him and knew him best say he was also a Hall of Fame human being.
He's the guy that I wanted to be, and I'm still chasing. So for him to be honored in this way, it's humbling. For me, as his kid, that's my hero got one.
We have several members of the Tabor family here with us this evening, and speaking on behalf of them, Coach Tabor, please welcome to the stage Coach's son, Mr. Matthew Tabor.
I'll say this, that's hard. My dad's been gone for 17 years, and we still talk about him in my house like he's still here. And so that's hard to see. So if I get emotional, I'm gonna apologize, but I will say this, what a beautiful tribute to my father. And it's always a good day when I get the opportunity to speak about my dad. I'm at the Hi-Ho on Wednesday eating lunch, and I'm with my mother. Shocker, I wasn't eating salad. I was with my mother and my sister, and a gentleman walked up, and he said, hey, you look like Don Tabor. And I said, well, I'm way better looking than he is, but yes, he's my father. And he said, your dad coached me 50 years ago. And so we exchanged pleasantries, and we talked, and he walked away. And then he came back like 30 minutes later, and he just cried. And he says, your dad was the best thing that ever happened to me. He put me on the right trajectory. He was just a good man. And I have heard that story 1,000 times. So here's what I'm going to say about my father. There's 2 kinds of coaches in this world. You're either transformational or you're transactional. That's it. He's definitely transformational. Nothing about him was transactional. He coached the heart of every player. He was tough. He was a good tactician. He was a great motivator. He coached physicality. He had well-disciplined teams. He'd get the most out of guys. But most importantly, he used the gridiron as a platform to develop young men who would hopefully one day go on to be good husbands, good fathers, good citizens, but most importantly, good Christians. And that's who he was. And so I've been thinking about, for months now, what would Dad say? So I think this is what he would say if he was here. I know people thank his parents, John and Gertrude. They instilled him the ability to be humble, soft, they were gentle, but they were also very well disciplined. He would thank the sisters of Mount St. Scholastica and the monks of St. Benedict's, because they were the ones that provided him the necessary spiritual formation and love of Christ Jesus that would propel him and give him this lifestyle. He would thank both Christian Brothers and Bishop LeBlond communities for their unwavering love and support all those years. And in particular, I'm telling you, man, he had a profound love and respect for the leader of the school at the time, Sister Christelle, and then her strong leadership, support, and friendship. When a few members of the Bishop Lawn community in 1985 decided to alter my father's coaching trajectory, the South End of St. Joe took him in. And from 85 to 96, he had a very, very good run in the South End. I want to thank Lamar Hicks, who was the principal at the time, for taking my father and believing in him, and then Terry Pierce was the athletic director at the time, and thank those men. I know he would thank other colleagues that he had. He would thank gentlemen like Larry Wilcox, Charlie Gottmeyer. There's a really good football coach in this town that has been, his credentials are insane. A lot of people don't even know who he is. But a guy by the name of Steve Schottel when he was 28 years old, he's offensive coordinator at Michigan State. Guy lives over behind Walmart. Grew up in a house with him in my basement every day. Those guys arguing on a chalkboard. And so he would thank those guys. I think he'd thank his opponents. I know he would thank Tony Dudick. I know he would thank Paul Compton, Harv Welch, Dick Lehman. He would definitely thank Scotty Merritt. He loves Scotty. He would thank Guy Galley. He would most importantly thank his assistants. He would thank guys like Jeff Modis, Mike Musser, Mike Ziesel, John Beisel, Ron Stark, Steve Lovely, Richard Kafka, and the late Pat Byrne. But at the end of the day, he would definitely thank players. In this line of business, it's all about players. And he's coached some good ones, and I'm not even going to dare to even tell you one guy, because he's coached hundreds of really, really, really good players that put him in the Hall of Fame. He would thank his children. He would thank, there is a daughter. Yes, there is, Elizabeth. Yeah, it goes Donnie, Chris, Liz, and then Knucklehead Dean and I. So that's how this whole thing works. But I do want to recognize one person that is here tonight, my mother. She's 86 years old. And then last but not least, thank you to the Sports Commission. Thank you, Brett Easley, for all that you do, and congratulations to all the other inductees. Appreciate you. God love you.
Ladies and gentlemen, 2025 St. Joseph Area Sports Hall of Fame member, the late coach Don Tabor. The word champion has a nice ring to it, doesn't it? It's a pretty powerful word. It symbolizes the best of the bunch. You know what? It's really hard to get to the point to call yourself a champion just one time in your life, let alone multiple. But in the case of Adam Selkirk, his championships were numerous. Adam set a new benchmark for tennis at Central High School in the mid-90s, winning the individual district championship all 4 years with CHS. Adam then went on to record the hat trick of Class 5 state tennis championships individually, doing it not once, not twice, but 3 times, leading his teammates to a team championship his sophomore season. He was consistently ranked the #1 player in the Missouri Valley region and a top 25 junior player in the USTA nationally. Selkirk took his talents to the University of Minnesota, where he was part of 2 regional teams. Adam was a mentor in those days and likely didn't even know it. Putting his program together tonight, one of the people that we interviewed, he called a rival on the court, and when I called him, and he told me, he said, I'm honored he even called me a rival because I never beat him. So not sure that counts. If you ever beat Adam Selkirk, let's take a closer look.
We and the rest of the tennis team were excited for him to get there because we knew that what had been a successful team was going to be even much more successful once he got there.
In sports, there are great, and then there is the best. Adam Selkirk, the best 3 different times in his high school career, winning 3 state singles tennis championships.
It was just about business. He just wanted to take care of it. He wanted to win. I don't remember how many straight matches he won, but after that year when he was lost his second match of the year at sophomore year, he didn't lose any more matches, and he was just determined that he just was going to win.
He was so good, the Central Great ranked #1 in the Missouri Valley 5-state region, and even in the top 25 of the USTA national poll for junior singles players from 1991 to 1995. he was just that good.
When I was 12, I won the city tournament and everyone's patting me on the back, great job, great job. Well, at 12 years old, Adam had just won the 18 and under city championships. Kid over here, same age, just won the 18 and under. He was just that good of a player, so much better than anyone around. I think he's obviously the best player to ever come out of St. Joe. Maybe probably one of the best players to ever come out of the state.
I'd be curious to see any high school tennis player come out of St. Joe that somebody could make an argument that that person would be as good, let alone better than Selkirk.
He wasn't someone who bragged about how good he was, though. Selkirk wanted to make others better around him, and for all his success and accomplishments and performances between high school at Central and the University of Minnesota, Adam Selkirk now heads into the St. Joseph Area Sports Hall of Fame.
Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in welcoming to the stage 2025 St. Joseph Area Sports Hall of Fame member, Mr. Adam Selkirk.
First, thanks to the St. Joseph Sports Commission, Brett Easley especially for spearheading all of this, and Patsy Smith for, I guess, kickstarting all of this with the nomination. I really appreciate it. A couple people I'm going to acknowledge here. My mother-in-law, Nancy, sister-in-laws, Maggie and Sarah, my incomparable wife, Katie, and my own personal Hall of Fame, my kids, Sawyer, Elliot, Ferris, Dawson, and Lucy. Hi, guys. Way too many people to thank, places to reference, so I'm kind of going to just use the people that spoke as sort of representatives of the various people, the countless people and places that helped me in my development and are largely responsible for many accomplishments that I achieved. Starting with Mike Tabor. Mike represents a few things. Even though I went to Central, obviously, I have a strong connection to Benton. My mom taught at Benton for a very long time, certainly competed with and against Benton people, and obviously Mike being from Benton, a strong connection to that. The Noyes Tennis Complex, not necessarily my sort of home court, that was more the St. Joe Tennis Club, but Noyes nevertheless, both because of Central and just really a wonderful sports complex and a great part of St. Joe that really meant a lot to me growing up. And along with that, I mean, the whole Tabor family really representative of so many of the great families in and around tennis and various sports throughout St. Joe. And there was nothing better when you were at Noyes than seeing, Donnie, Chris, Liz, Poops, or Dean walk over. Yes, Poops is his name. No one said it yet. Nothing made you happier than seeing any one of them stroll down to Noyes. If I'm a little emotional, you'll sort of know why in a minute. But yeah, that family, they're just the salt of the earth. And I'm particularly honored to be inducted alongside Coach Tabor tonight. That means a lot to me, so thanks, Mike. And then Mike Hargens, a teammate, and more importantly, a friend from a very early age. We knew each other from tennis, from baseball, and basketball. Mike was a real role model for me, representative of all my teammates at Central, how to behave and comport oneself on and off the court. Mike was effortlessly smooth and cool, and really proud that he was able to kind of speak on my behalf tonight. And along with Central, a guy I haven't seen for a long time, but that meant the world to me, Coach Randy Diedrichsen, the coach for not just my generation, but my older brothers. And Central has kind of a dynasty in the 80s and 90s of tennis throughout the state, beating and certainly competing with all of the best Kansas City and St. Louis schools. And that's largely because Coach Randy Diedrichsen was at the helm. My brothers couldn't be here tonight for various reasons, but Jeff, Jay, and Scott, thank you, of course, for everything that you meant to me and my tennis growing up. My mom, I'm not sure if, driving a bratty teenager around the country for tens of thousands of hours was any teacher's idea of a fun summer, but she did it for 8 or 10 years every summer, from coast to coast, up and down, and then again. So she was a complete rock and so responsible for everything that I've ever done. So thank you, Mom. And then there's my dad, who you saw briefly there. Simply taught me everything I know. Everything I know about tennis, or about being a man, and everything in between. He worked literally 7 days a week, often 10 to 12 hours a day, and never once did he not have time for me at the tail end of that day to come and hit balls for the hour and a half or so that I played every single day of my life. I'll be very honest right now, my dad's health took a turn for the worse this week, so he's not here tonight. He's over in the ICU at Mosaic. But I think he taught, like I said, he taught me everything I know. I think if you have had anything to do with tennis in St. Joe in the last 40 years, he either taught you everything you know, or at least some of what you know. So I'm asking everybody, whether you knew him directly or not, just to, whether it's through a prayer, a warm thought, wishing on a lucky star, just send some love to him and to my mom and to our whole family. Thank you very much.
Ladies and gentlemen, 2025 St. Joseph Area Sports Hall of Fame member, Adam Silver. We are now going to move into the portion of enshrinement that I'm going to call our Sunflower Showdown portion of the enshrinement. We will send it to Manhattan, Kansas first, as it was pretty apparent early in the career of our next 2025 St. Joseph Area Sports Hall of Fame inductee that the impact he was about to make would be on a large scale. A native of St. Joseph, Elijah Lee hit the scene early. Yeah. Just a sophomore at Central High School, Lee recorded 67 tackles, including 9 for loss. In all, in 2 seasons at Central and then 2 at Blue Springs High School, Lee recorded one of the best high school football careers in this area's history, being named the Class 6 Football Defensive Player of the Year. He was a USA Today All-Missouri team member and is the only 2-time winner of the prestigious Buck Buchanan Award. Elijah took his talent to Kansas State and while playing 3 seasons for Coach Snyder, he was a 2-time All-Big 12 selection, which vaulted him to a dream few get to realize as he was drafted in the 7th round of the 2017 NFL Draft. Lee retired after 6 NFL seasons, realizing his impact in football could further be made, mentoring young players in the Kansas City area to train and learn the game, and he just completed a recent coaching fellowship with the Chicago Bears. All-State, All-Big 12, and now Hall of Famer. Let's take a closer look at Elijah Lee.
We got smart and put your hand down on the ground, and I remember looking around at a few coaches after a few plays, and we're like, I think we just found something.
A dominant force on the field, Elijah Lee making his way from Midtown St. Joseph to the grandest stage in football, 8 years in the NFL.
You could see that in him with the heart that he brought to the game and the approach that he took, the determination that he had to be the best that he could be.
Lee played 2 years at Central High School, finishing his high school career at Blue Springs, racking up state honors including Missouri Football Coaches Association's Class 6 Defensive Player of the Year honor, USA Today All-Missouri team, and won the Buck Buchanan Memorial Award twice.
So happy the way you grinded. You were a good human being, Elijah, which means a lot. And good things happen to good people.
Lee crossed state lines to go to Kansas State, earning all Big 12 honors, playing for Hall of Fame head coach Bill Snyder. Following his junior year, Lee declaring for the NFL Draft, the Vikings taking a chance on the St. Joseph product. And he spent 8 years in the league, playing for 6 teams, including a Super Bowl appearance with the 49ers against the Chiefs in Super Bowl 54. His pro career bringing him home too, spending time with the Chiefs in 2022, and while at training camp at Missouri Western, Lee made a visit back to the place that helped raise him.
Anything that you can give them, any type of courage to say that this doesn't always have to be this way. So him going back and when he's wearing one of his NFL jerseys and he's sharing his experience, the kids can't help but look up to him.
Lee led by example, pushing others to be great. He's someone that kids in St. Joseph look up to, and he now takes his own spot in the St. Joseph Area Sports Hall of Fame.
First off, I want to say thank you guys. Sometimes I fight the battle of my career kind of started here, but it didn't take off here, just because I was a basketball player here. Whenever I moved to Kansas City, that's when my football career kind of took off. You guys, Coach Hook, Coach Hunter, like they said, my work ethic was nothing shy of the product I am from the east side of St. Joe. Coming from the playground. But let's move further ahead. I just want to thank the Sports Commission. I want to thank God, thank family, thank coaches, thank supporters, thank friends. There's a lot of people that played a big role of where I got to and where I am today. Whether it was a bystander or somebody that, took me in and got me where I needed to go. As you can see, football took me places I never thought I'd go. It took me to the biggest stages, on the Super Bowl in Miami, being part of the Super Bowl team with the Chiefs. Not many can say they played against a team and won with the team. It's a little bittersweet. There's pictures out there. We celebrated a lot in that Niners Super Bowl, but then you understand the game's not over till the zero strike. But all in that to say is a blessing, it's an honor. It's still a dream every day. There's nothing more than less than I can ask for. I got everything I need. I'm healthy. Like you said, I played for Coach Snyder, one of the greats, and you understand now that I'm on the coaching side, what goes all into it. As a player, you can check it in and go home and enjoy your time. In my internship, it was not that. I was getting in there at 6:30, probably leaving at 10:30 at night, and I enjoyed every bit of it. And to say the least, I think that's my path, and that's my goal, is to be a future trainer. I don't know about the coaching side, but I plan on dipping into back here, helping kids get where they need to go, and in the Kansas City area. So thank you guys.
2025 St. Joseph Area Sports Hall of Famer, Mr. Elijah Lee. Let's head east, down I-70, and that other portion of the Sunflower Showdown to Lawrence, Kansas. A man who made impact in all seasons, that was Justin Thornton. A three-sport star at Central High School, Justin blazed his biggest trail on the gridiron. His senior season at CHS was one for the ages as he set the single-season receiving record, which still stands today, including catching 6 touchdown passes in a single game. Thornton took his talents to Mount Orion and donned the crimson and blue of Kansas Jayhawks for 5 seasons. As Justin would likely tell you, it just about didn't work out. However, a position change, hard work, determination, and seizing opportunity led Justin to the defensive side of the ball at the position of safety, in which he went on to record 235 career tackles, including 80 during his senior season, including a career high against Mizzou at Arrowhead Stadium in 2007, in which he recorded 16 tackles against the Tigers, a season the Jayhawks went on to win the Orange Bowl. Thornton's accolades propelled him to an opportunity to sign as a rookie free agent with the Pittsburgh Steelers. A tenacity to never be denied and wherewithal to take advantage of an opportunity. Let's get a closer look at Justin Thornton.
Kansas Jayhawks fans remember this game, this play, fondly.
He throws it, and it is intercepted. Justin Thornton to the 25, 20, 15, 10, 5.
Justin Thornton, a 3-sport letterman at Central High School, earning All-State, All-District honors.
He bought in, he got better every game, and he was I'm getting goosebumps right here, just a great leader. He had fun every day.
Thornton choosing to go the football route in college. After redshirting his freshman season, he made sure he stayed on the field the next 4 years, playing in 49 games, including 3 bowl game wins.
When I think of JT, I think of all those qualities of what we really hope as coaches and parents and grandparents is that people live a fulfilling life.
Following his college career, he signed with the Steelers.
Sometimes you see kids, they have just this constant trajectory of forward growth like that, and that's not what it's like in the real world for most people. And Justin had these periods, and I think he could look back and go, yeah, man, there was a time it was pretty tough. But I think sometimes the tough times are what make you appreciate the really good time.
And now Thornton taking his place in the St. Joseph Area Sports Hall of Fame.
And for Justin Thornton, his 5th of the year, first and goal KU.
2025 St. Joseph Area Sports Hall of Famer, Justin Thornton.
I want to make a correction with Brett's stats on that. He scored 6 touchdowns 5 different ways. To all you football fans out there, that matters. I want to start by thanking Brett Easley and the entire St. Joe Sports Commission for hosting such a great event. I also want to thank all the inductees today and all the former inductees for their hard work, dedication, and passion that makes an event like this possible. When I graduated from Central in 2005, I would envision my future. I tell myself and I tell others all the time that I didn't know where I'd end up. I just knew that the 2 places I knew I wouldn't end up living were Atchison, Kansas, and St. Joe, Missouri. Well, here we are 20 years later, and those same words couldn't be further from the truth. God's always right on time. Psalms 46:10, be still and know that I am God. My dad used to always preach that to me and my brothers and sisters before he passed, daily. And it's something that I stand on to this day. In my stillness, and through this recognition and this award, it's reminded me of who I am and where I come from and how great this community really is. For the last year, I've had this longing to be closer to the people that have supported me and believed in me, even when I didn't believe in myself. I've had this desire for my children to know my family and to know the community that I grew up in and the support system. That's why I've recently accepted a position with the St. Joe School District and working with their nutrition team. I'll be bouncing around from school to school until I can find a home, but I feel like I'm in really good hands. Earlier this month, an all-time favorite mentor of mine, Dr. Robert Segrist, retired from the school district. And I'm hoping that my passion, hard work, and leadership can fill just a portion of the void that he's left. Thank you, Doc, for being you. And I know I'm not the only one that feels the same way about you. I want to close by thanking some family, friends, and coaches. Without them, I wouldn't be standing here today. I'm going to start by thanking my kids, my babies. You are my heartbeat. You keep me grounded, and I love you, and I only want to make you proud. To my parents, to my grandparents, to my aunts and uncles who've provided for me through the years. To my cousin JD, who was the first person I ever looked up to. Coach Tony Dudick. You are one of the greatest leaders of men I've ever been blessed to know. Great Coach Barry Reynolds and Greg Farley for being the first coaches in my life that really made me believe that I was special. Coach Linda Keegan for being the first coach that saw something special in me when I was 12. And not just Linda, but her entire family for opening their doors and taking me in and treating me as their own for years. Bob, Rob, and Courtney, thank you. To Scott and Donna Clark for always being there for me and treating me like their son. These last handful of thanks goes to a group of people that have been my saving grace for this chapter of my life. I want them to know how much I love y'all and am eternally grateful for you. To my best friend since I was 12, Sean Lesney. Sean, you are the best man I know, and it's an honor to be your friend. Jermaine Heisman, I can't express how much you mean to me. You pulled me through some dark times, and I admire you in many ways. To my Uncle Turk and Melissa, for always being there for me. You guys have been the closest thing to parents I've had. To my sister, Brittany, I love our friendship. I hope that one day my kids will be able to experience such a great bond that we have with their siblings. I also admire you more than you know. Last but not least, I'd like to thank my significant other, Tiffany, who's been my rock in my life for the last couple of years. I love you, and I'm grateful that you are a part of my life. Thank you, St. Joseph, and this entire community, for making me feel deserving of this award. And I really look forward to being back home and being a part of this community and seeing what kind of impact that I can make here. Thank you again, everyone.
Ladies and gentlemen, 2025 St. Joseph Area Sports Hall of Famer, Mr. Justin Thornton. Well done, Justin. You know, there's many moments in St. Joseph sports you'll never forget. We talked about several here tonight. We talk about several annually this time of year, every year. But for me personally, and I'm sure for many in the room, Rob Calloway fights at Civic Arena were the main event in our area for many years. 23 of them at Civic Arena, to be exact, all must-see events. Known as the All-American Prize Fighter, Calloway enjoyed a highly decorated amateur career. Saw him win 3 Kansas City Gold Gloves championships. Calloway turned pro in 1992, and over the next 15 years went on to record 72 professional victories, winning numerous titles in the cruiserweight and heavyweight division. His 2005 victory over Bob Mirovic in Australia was named the Fight of the Year by Fox Sports. Rob's success in the ring put St. Joseph on the map all across the country and even the world, and encouraged several other aspiring boxers across the region to get in the ring and learn the sport. Daring greatly and facing every round with courage, let's relive some moments from the All-American Prize Fighter.
Hailing from St. Joseph, Missouri, let's welcome Rob, the All-American Prize Fighter, Calloway!
He just had a huge heart. He could punch, he was strong.
A tough, hard-nosed boxer, Rob Calloway, the All-American Prize Fighter.
He was always an individual who was very competitive. He was always making sure he was looking out for his teammates and caring for others on the floor, and very determined to be a winner.
Thousands of people piled into Civic Arena to watch 23 of Calloway's fights in St. Joseph. he was a must-see attraction.
It was just the crowd. He had a lot of fans that either loved him or hated him. Probably a 50-50 altogether,
A career starting back in 1992, Calloway tallied up 72 wins and 92 career professional fights, winning the World Boxing Council Continental America's Cruiserweight title, International Boxing Federation International Cruiserweight title, World Boxing Foundation Heavyweight title, and North American Boxing Association Cruiserweight title.
He wanted to change his life because of his upbringing, and he wants to flourish that to other people in his community to have a better life. And I respect that there's not a lot of people that have that opportunity to get to that pinnacle of his career or have the opportunity to be able to give back to the community.
A Kansas City Gold Gloves champion 3 times, a 1992 United States Western Olympics trail semi-finalist, and a 2005 boxing match in Australia for the WBF heavyweight title was the fight of the year proclaimed Fox Sports Australia. Rob Calloway is indeed a Hall of Famer.
To me, he's an adopted child of St. Missouri. He really is. And he loves it with all of his heart.
Ladies and gentlemen, 2025 St. Joseph Area Sports Hall of Fame member, the champ is here, Mr. Rob Calloway.
I want to thank everyone who ever came to watch me box, supported me or cheered me on along the way. I'm grateful for every single one of you. My very first boxing memory was watching Muhammad Ali defeat George Foreman in the Rumble in the Jungle. I was just 5 years old, but from that moment on, I knew boxing was something special. The fight lit a fire in me that never went out. For me, boxing just never about stepping in the ring and throwing punches. I love the sport, the sweet science. Every fight was a calculation. I studied every opponent, every angle, every subtle movement to create an opening. Boxing taught me discipline, patience, how to think as much as how to fight. I'm grateful that boxing gave me opportunities I never dreamed of. The chance to compete around the world, earn my college education, and build a life I have today. It led me to work as a physical therapist, helping seniors regain strength and mobility. I love my patients dearly, and being able to help them live the lives that have been one of my greatest blessings. I want to thank the Sports Commission for nominating me and voted me into the Hall of Fame. It was a great honor. I'm very proud to represent St. Joseph. I love boxing. I love the sweet science. And I'm truly honored and thankful to be inducted in the city's Hall of Fame. I want to thank my beautiful wife, Robin. We've been married 34 years. And, my son and my daughter, and my mother from Kentucky is here today, my brothers. I love you guys. Glad to see everybody. And they even got to come watch me fight sometime. It was great. I love St. Joseph. I love to represent, you see, the All-American Fighter Prize Fighter for St. Joseph, Missouri, the home where Jesse James began, where Pony Express began and Jesse James ended. Thank you all so much. I'm really honored.
Well done, Rob. The best there ever was. How'd you like to be mentioned in that category? You know, it comes up a lot talking about the rich men's fast pitch softball history here in St. Joseph. That list, however, is ultimately very short, and the one name that continually rises to the top is that of Chris Miljack. Chris, a 5-tool player that can beat opponents in a number of different ways, has been rewriting his elite resume now for more than 30 years on the diamond. Now a 12-time USA National Team member, 5-time ASA All-American, 4-time All-World Selection, and multi-time National Tournament MVP. Chris rose to local fame during his time playing for our Class of 2021 team inductees, the Meyerhofer St. Joe Frontier Casino Players team that won 4 national championships and hosted the 2000 World Games right here in St. Joseph. Chris's accolades have been recognized by many, including the ultimate accomplishment, as he'll be enshrined in the USA Softball National Hall of Fame this fall. A model of high-level consistency who still plays nationally today, Chris Miljack elevated his game and others to another level.
A one-of-a-kind 5-tool player. All-world glove, Chris Miljack made a name for himself on the global stage of men's fast-pitch softball.
I don't think people really realize the eliteness of that, to play on a national team for your country in the Pan American Games and the World Games and be successful.
Earning gold medal, silver medal, championships, Miljack was and is the real deal.
From 2003 until 2015 or so, the number of years that he played for the national teams is unbelievable.
Fast-pitch softball fills up a lot of St. Joseph history, and the Bishop of Blonde 3-sport athlete is one of the best to do it and continues to play to this day.
The best thing that Chris had was his desire for the game, wanting to learn, he was wanting to get better. And one of the best things that happened for Chris, in all honesty, was he had a broken hand in '98. And that's when St. Joe hosted the ASA Men's Fast Pitch Open Tournament at Phil Welch Stadium. And Chris had to watch from the bench, and we won it. I think actually sitting and watching that tournament that year actually propelled him to be a better player.
He is a USA Softball Hall of Famer, a National USA Softball Hall of Famer, already in the St. Joseph Area Sports Hall of Fame with the Meyerhofer St. Joe Frontier team. And now Chris Miljack heads into his hometown Hall of Fame on his own merits and achievements.
And I know it's an elite group, and he is an elite player, but he's even more an elite person.
Ladies and gentlemen, 2025 St. Joseph Area Sports Hall of Fame member, Mr. Chris Miljack.
First off, I'd like to thank the St. Joseph's Sports Commission Hall of Fame Committee, to Chuck Kemp for the nomination, and congratulations to all the inductees. Special congratulations to the 1977 state basketball team and the Don Tabor family, as we all share a proud Bishop of Blonde connection. If you're from St. Joseph, you know that men's fast pitch softball has a rich history. Teams like Walnut Woods, Polsky Motors, Herzog, Meyerhofer Fleeman, St. Joe Frontiers Casino, all left their mark in this community. I was just 20 years old when I first stepped on the field with the St. Joseph Savannah-based BFW team, and I had no idea that first pitch would lead me on a journey around the world. I'm deeply honored to play in ballparks all across our nation, alongside and against some of the best players in the world. That path eventually led me to the U.S. national team, where I had the privilege of representing our country in Guatemala, Dominican Republic, Canada, Mexico, Czech Republic, Argentina, and New Zealand. Each destination brought its own challenges and triumphs, but more than anything, I was blessed to see beautiful places and make memories that will last a lifetime. What made this journey so meaningful were the sponsors and the teammates I was fortunate enough to share it with. With the Meyerhofer St. Joe Frontier Casino team, we had an incredible run. 4 ASA USA Men's Major National Championships and a ISC World Championship in just 7-year span.
But just as special as those titles were, the real story was about the people. Those teammates weren't just guys beside me on the field. They were brothers. We pushed each other to play harder. We celebrated the wins like family. And we leaned on each other after tough losses. But some of our strongest bonds weren't built in the games at all, but on the road. Hours in vans and buses, the car rides, late night meals and drinks after double hitters, and the kind of laughter that made the miles fly by. Those moments turned a team into a family and made the grind of the long season some of the best memories of my life. That brotherhood is what truly made this journey very unforgettable. I also owe my growth to a remarkable group of area coaches. Ray Kearns and Bob Lucart in Little League, Gary Bach for basketball, Bill Pulaski in Legion Ball, Greg Castor and Wayne Miller for some unforgettable high school memories. And in fast pitch, I had Robert Davis, Don Dewey, Rodney and Russell Gray, Robert Newhart, and late Gene Grossman. Each of them contributed something special to my development, and I'm deeply grateful. And of course, none of this would have been possible without the unwavering support of my family, who believed me in every step of the way, even when my journey took me far from home. This honor tonight is just mine. It belongs to the tradition of men's fast pitch softball in St. Joseph. So no matter where the game took me, this has always been home. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, 2025 St. Joseph Area Sports Hall of Fame member. Give it up one more time for Mr. Chris Jones. Impact and mentorship has been our theme tonight. It really should be an everyday theme, right? Our next inductee into the 2025 class has made impact not only in the powerlifting world, but also to many locally to help them achieve their fitness goals. 7-time AAU powerlifting champion Bob Boyles has been pressing for excellence for more than 40+ years. Bob's unique career resume really has come in 3 parts. The early stages of his career, which included a national squat record of 705 pounds, set in 1990, which still stands today. That's about 5 of me, if you're counting. And then he followed that with 3 world championships. Then there was the second stage of his career. It came nearly 13 years later, which followed with 4 more world championships consecutively from 2014 to 2017. Well, Bob's Fitness Studio is an impressive showcase of his many accolades. His impact locally as a personal fitness trainer is equally as impressive on the many lives that he's touched, all the way from elite level athletes, some of which we've recognized here tonight, to folks just trying to stay healthy and reach their personal fitness goals, in which the gym portrays lots of his trainees' accolades as well. Local, national, and world level legend. Let's take a look further at Bob Boyles.
A gold standard in powerlifting, Bob Boyles has more than 40 years of powerlifting prestige under his belt.
When I started powerlifting, he was, one of the best around at that time. He weighed about 210, 220, and he was benching, mid 400 pounds, 450 pounds, squatting over 700 pounds, and for a guy that size, it was phenomenal.
Winning 7 AAU World Powerlifting Championships between 1999 and 2017 was his last part of a very impressive trifecta. Also being named the AAU Best Powerlifter and Outstanding Male Athlete at the AAU Championship at the age of 60.
When you start, something in your 20s, it's phenomenal. In powerlifting, it beats the body up pretty hard. So his longevity in the sport was just phenomenal.
Not only are his own accomplishments impressive, but so are his achievements in helping others reach their own goals.
I love working out with him because, first of all, he does an evaluation about what you're especially interested in and what would be helpful for you.
A Hall of Fame powerlifter and Hall of Fame personal trainer, Bob Boyles now goes into the St. Joseph Area Sports Hall of Fame.
Unstoppable. He's always been my inspiration. He has been my hero since I was a little kid. I remember writing so many stories about him being my hero.
Ladies and gentlemen, 2025 St. Joseph Area Sports Hall of Fame inductee, Mr. Bob Boyles.
Well, my granddaughter always gets to me, sorry. Thank you, Sports Commission, of course, and Brett Easley. I just got to know him briefly, being nominated for this, and I can't tell you how impressed I am with his enthusiasm and work he does behind the scenes to make this such a great event to be part of. And I guess if you look back at everybody that's involved, there's so many that I felt like helped get me here, but I wanted to especially thank Carol Raver for being the one behind nominating me and all the other people that helped nominate me. And with being a gym owner, it's really cool to see somebody like, I'd say one of the best jobs in St. Joe, prestige-wise, probably would be a CEO of a hospital. And then when I see Lowell Cruz wearing my gym shirt in here, it makes me feel good about the business I've built. And who would do that, Probably only anybody's ever attended in a t-shirt, I'm sure, this level. But my powerlifting career is kind of the way I got started in weightlifting. It's not like most athletes in here probably. I never had a plan to do any of this actually. I graduated high school in 1975 from Lafayette. My life was on course like most people that age, kind of not really knowing what you're doing, but you think you do. And then around a year later, kind of setback, I lose the sight of my left eye. And for me, that was quite an adjustment. I was kind of lost. I lost confidence. I was big into tennis. Softball was big in St. Joe back then. I didn't really know what to do with myself. My old high school wrestling coach said, hey, you always had a passion for weightlifting when you were lifting weights on the wrestling team. Why don't you get yourself in the gym and cheer yourself up? And that was Coach Chuck Myrick, who's passed away, but he was always one of my inspirations. So I go to the gym mainly just to feel better about myself, build some confidence. After a few years, I think, well, I'm getting pretty good at this, and people say, why don't you do something with that? So I started competing, and I did something with it. And along that way, it just changed my life in so many ways. I could have been down and out with what I lost, but it turned me in a whole different direction, like that happens in life sometimes. And I don't know if I'd ever got this, I wouldn't even be up here now if it hadn't been for a setback. And so along the way, I've lifted weights all these years, competing. I meet my wife early on, get married, and to me, my family is my greatest blessing. They're all here. I've had the privilege of having kids, grandkids, great-grandkids going to competitions. In fact, when my granddaughter came along, that was my inspiration to keep competing because I wanted her to say, my grandpa just didn't used to lift weights, but he still does. And then, of course, then she gives me the great-grandkids, and so then I got to keep that up a little bit longer. But I think I've kind of reached the limit now. But along the way, I had another setback. 1991, the job I had, it closes its doors, but my first instinct was to go find another factory job. But instead, my wife Maria, who I'm very grateful for, and she tells me, well, this is your chance to try to do something you want. Why don't you try to go to college and see how that works for you? And I'm thinking, well, I'm 33. I don't know how that's going to work. I'll try it. If it don't work, I'll go back to work in a factory. Well, I go there, and I'm really welcomed very well at Missouri Western. I get out there, I find out a lot of the people knew who I was. Immediately, there was a lady named Arlene Smith there who talked to me. She said, well, I bet you they could use you on campus here while you go to school. And so she makes some contacts, and I enroll as a freshman, and I'm already working in 3 positions there. In fact, sometimes I walk into the classroom and people think I'm the teacher, but I'm just another student. And the coaching staff, they get me in the football. They said, well, Bob, you can help us with the weights. And I'm not the biggest guy, and their football players are bigger than me. And Coach Compton, who was the offensive coordinator, was handling the strength training then. He says, I'm trying to tell these guys how to do stuff, and they just kind of looked at me like, well, aren't you in my English class or something? so I said, Coach Compton said, Bob, you're going to get the respect from these guys if you lift weights with them, so get in here and start training with them. So I get in there and I start working out with these guys, and they do. All of a sudden, I'm Coach Boyles, and I'm outlifting everybody on the team, and they, you got to get their respect, I guess, is what I'm saying. And then, so that was a great experience. And so I take as many hours as I can. I'm out there sometimes from 6 in the morning till 10 at night, doing the work with the intramural department and the PE department and the athletic training. And I loved all of it. I was grateful for the opportunity. So I get my degree in 3 years. I also get Outstanding Graduate Award for the Exercise Science Department, which I didn't even know they gave out something like that, but I said, you need to be at this meeting. I said, I don't go to meetings, and they said, no, you need to be there. So I ended up getting this Outstanding Graduate Award, and they give me a chance to go get a scholarship, or they give me scholarship money, I guess you could call it, to go get a certification. So then I go to Loyola University and get certified as a strength and conditioning specialist. And at the time, I thought I could use that to go further my career like a Division I strength coach, because they require that. But then Missouri Western's opens up their new fitness center. They give me a chance to be their first director there, and they hire me to do that part-time. And also, I start my business, Body Use Personal Training. I opened up in '94 as soon as I graduated. And so I do both back and forth until my business gets so big I can no longer do both. I stay with my gym. And I've been so blessed to have a successful gym. I've met people in this community I never would have otherwise met. I've had a lot of my members are in here now, which really makes me feel good. I see people from walks of life, like Pat Lilly, he's here, and he used to be the Chamber of Commerce guy. And there's, he told me to mention other things. That's the only way he's going to come. Anyway, and I'm so glad, when I opened up my business, we did it under our house. We had an addition built on, and my family made a big sacrifice because they give up half of their house. I don't think any woman grows up believing one of my dream house would be having a gym and hearing people bang weights all day. But my family's been great with it, and I was able to have, our little ones like grandkids and stuff. My granddaughter Tori was on that video. She was there from before preschool. She didn't go to preschool. She called it grandpa's school, and she would be in the gym hanging out. My other grandkids did too. My granddaughter Lily. They all got to know a lot of my clients. Sometimes they'd embarrass me with some of the stuff they would ask my clients, like, aren't you too old to be doing this or something? But anyway, it worked out great. I got to have my family involved. I still do it all the time now. And all I got to do is walk downstairs and I keep working. And, that's my commute every day. And I never would have believed that the community would support me as well as they have with the business. And I continue to keep doing it, and I will. But anyway, I really appreciate being recognized for the powerlifting and for the personal training. And I congratulate all the other people that are here too that got their awards. I feel honored to be in their company too. And thank you again.
Ladies and gentlemen, 2025 St. Joseph Area Sports Hall of Fame member. Give it up one more time, Mr. Bob Gordon. You know, we've used the number 40 a lot tonight. Several of our inductees have been performing their trade on an elite level for multiple decades, 40 plus years. That's how long our final individual inductee, Mike Habermill, has been impacting and mentoring golfers of all ages. Odds are, if you're from St. Joseph and play golf, I bet you've had a tip or two from Mike. I know I have. Don't let the hips flare and fly too early. I'm still doing that, by the way. Whether it was the Fairview Junior Clinic, a private lesson, playing on the Northwest Missouri Junior Golf Tour that Mike created to give young players of all skill levels a chance to compete, or maybe you were one of Mike's golfers at Missouri Western State University. Mike had a lot of great golf teams, including his 1997 team that was the NCAA West Regional Champions, winning that championship at St. Joseph Country Club, still the only men's golf team to advance to a national tournament in school history. In talking to Mike when he came to St. Joseph, he didn't think he'd be here that long. Well, the short stint turned into 28 years later. He was still here and leaving a lasting legacy at Fairview Golf Course, in which at that time he made the move on to start a new legacy at St. Joseph Country Club as the golf pro, in which he formally retired a couple of years ago, but still gives multiple lessons on a daily basis. Mike has been recognized by the PGA Midwest section. He's in their Hall of Fame. Mike Habermill, friend of the game, mentor to many.
He's Mr. Golf. You know, if anybody's played golf in St. Joe, he's probably had his hand on it somewhere, shape or form.
It's not that golf wouldn't exist in St. Joseph, but if Mike Habermill never made the decision to come to town, golf looks drastically different, and not for the better.
You know, being with him for 4 years at Missouri Western was a blessing. That obviously made me better, and to this day we still do the same thing.
40 years of mentoring in St. Joseph, Habermill, the head golf professional at Fairview, St. Joseph Country Club, and he also created a junior golf program and coached Missouri Western's men's squad with a NCAA Division II West regional title in 1997.
He just always preached practice. You know, if something ain't right, you can't just rest. You gotta go figure it out, and you gotta stay out there and get after it.
He helped mentor many great golfers, but he also helped those who just wanted to play for fun.
He's very good at talking to you and making you at ease when you're taking the lessons,
while also instilling a passion for the game for those at a young age with the Northwest Missouri Junior Golf Tour.
Always been a big proponent of competition, of getting better, of learning the game, respecting the game. Who knows how many lessons he's given over the years and how many free lessons he's given over the years.
He might not call himself the godfather of St. Joseph golf, but there are many who do and feel very strongly about it. So Habermill takes his rightful place in the St. Joseph Area Sports Hall of Fame.
Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in welcoming to the stage 2025 St. Joseph Area Sports Hall of Fame inductee, Mr. Mike Habermill.
I have to write everything and get my glasses out too. I just want to start out by thanking the Sports Commission and also to congratulate all my fellow inductees. It's a great honor to be here with all these others. You know, my start in golf was at the very, very bottom. As a matter of fact, I never thought I would be a golf professional. I call myself the accidental golf professional. At age 15, with a non-driving mother and a dad who was an over-the-road truck driver, I was really limited to what I could do to earn money. So one day, a former brother-in-law said, "Why don't you ride your bike to Hickory Hills Country Club," which was a mile away, and see if they needed caddies. That was my introduction to the game of golf. I wasn't brought up in junior program, but I learned as a caddy at Hickory Hills Country Club. As caddies, we didn't have YouTube, we didn't have lessons. We would try to caddy for the good players and go out on the back patio and imitate their swings. And it seemed to work pretty well. But I worked my way up from cart boy to bag boy to range boy, all the way to assistant golf professional. And those of you who have ever seen the movie Caddyshack, yes, we had a few of those memorable folks. At Hickory Hills, we were exposed to many great players and legends such as Payne and Bill Stewart, who were both members, both champions. Lee Trevino, I got to watch him in a clinic 2 feet away from him. Fuzzy Zeller, Dr. Gil Morgan, Kathy Reynolds, they were all great players and tournament winners. But the big start in my life was around 1978 or so. Sam Reynolds, the pro at Hickory Hills, gave me the nod to run the junior program, which was a big day for me because it allowed me to do something that I really, really enjoyed. So 40 years ago, I came to Fairview Golf Course to start my career as head professional, 40 years ago. I thought I was going to stay through 1 or 2 contracts, then leave, but along the way, we gained a lot of friends and realized St. Joseph was the perfect place for us. In 1990, I met a person who became Kathy Habermel, and she's been and still is a huge part of what we accomplished in this game. I was proud to start a junior program at Fairview the very first year I arrived, and saw many kids learn to play and have fun as they learn. The mission then and now is the same. It's still on my deal. Promote the game of golf to all junior golfers, develop the skills needed to play, learn sportsmanship etiquette, and most of all, have fun. In 2009, a gentleman named Dan Crawford and I were sitting in my office at Fairview, and we were really kind of talking about the kids in Northwest Missouri had no place to compete in our area. They had to go to Kansas City or all through the state. So we created the Northwest Missouri Junior Tour, so kids 9 years old to pre-college can compete in our area. Still going strong today. We had our best pro years ever this year with over 60 kids each event. 8 courses are used every year. Every year to do this, and we have great players. There's been some great players who graduated from that tour and moved on. Others just became regular players who just go out and have fun and play the game. Also in the 1990s, I became the men's golf coach at Missouri Western State University. And our team consisted mostly of players from this area. You know, one of the teams, and there's some of them here tonight, I think 3 of them here tonight, they have a place in the Hall of Fame of Missouri Western. What a great bunch of guys. And that year, a lot of players, the coach would talk about all their foreigners. Well, we've got a guy from Canada, Sweden, Britain. My guys were from Savannah, Missouri, and Macon, Missouri. Those were our foreigners. The current coaches, Matt Thrasher and Brad Nursky, they were both players on teams I had, both star players on the teams, and now the circle's complete as I continue to help the team strictly as a volunteer, and they're doing a great job. From 2012 to 2020, I was the head professional at St. Joseph Country Club, where I finished my career as a day-to-day golf professional. Finished right before the pandemic, matter of fact. The game of golf has given me a lot over the years. To have parents that were once in our junior programs bring their kids in to take junior golf lessons, and because they took it from me, is a great testament that we must have done something correct. You know, we've met many great people throughout the years, and we thank them all for their support and friendships. Not a lot of people get to say they're getting to do what they are passionate about. I'm very lucky. 50 years later, I still get too excited to see a new player improving or an experienced player reach the top of their game, and we've already seen a couple of them. But in closing, I want to thank everyone who's been there along the way, especially to my wife, Kathy, who has loved, supported, and encouraged me throughout the last 35 years, and I couldn't have done it without her. This is an honor I'll always cherish. Thank you all very much.
St. Joseph Area Sports Hall of Fame member, Mr. Mike Habermill. 1977. It's a vintage year, wasn't it? Remember what you were doing in 1977? I wasn't doing anything in 1977. Cost of gas was 66 cents, and the #1 song on the music charts was a song by Rod Stewart called Tonight's the Night. Yeah. Well, in scouring that music chart, there was another song that didn't register in the top 100s of the chart that year, but I'm guessing it blared rather loudly out of the locker room at 36th and Frederick as Bishop LeBlanc boys basketball was getting ready to win another game. That song, maybe you've heard of it, called Foreplay, Long Time by Boston, was a foreshadowing anthem that helped produce 27 wins for the Golden Eagles, which included victories over the state's #1, #2, #4, 7th, and 9th ranked teams, a City League championship, and a berth in the state tournament. At this point, Coach John Beisel's team was not going to be denied, and as one team member told me, losing never entered our minds. And it never did. Playing in the Class II state Final Four at the Hearn Center in Columbia, the Golden Eagles defeated Forsyth in the semis and win the championship game to capture the school's first and only boys basketball state championship. Whether it's Boston's Long Time or a classic hit by Rod Stewart, gentlemen, tonight is the night for the Bishop LeBlanc state champs.
I really felt confident. We weren't cocky, but we were definitely confident at the beginning of the season, all the way, you know, until even when the playoffs and the state playoffs started.
The Bishop LeBlond boys basketball team has had some great teams over the years, but one of the very best, the 1977 state championship team.
We had good players pretty much down the line. I mean, even in my opinion, our third squad was better than some of the teams we played throughout the year.
The Golden Eagles going 27-5, City League co-champs. LeBlond was at the top of the mountain.
One of my favorite memories was after we won state and ran into the locker room, and Coach Don Tabor, he slapped me on the back and good job, Tiger. And I was like, and it just felt so good to get smacked that hard by Coach Tabor, because I obviously respected him and admired him.
This team had talent, they knew it, they were great. And all these years later though, it's not so much about the scores of the game, they remember some of that, but it's more about the memories and moments they made together, including going into the Hall of Fame now together as LeBlond's first and only boys basketball state championship team.
We had great coaches, they taught us a lot, and we executed, so we were pretty loose and just went out and played.
Ladies and gentlemen, let's bring up our state champion. Gentlemen, when I call you up, all state selection, Brett Duffman, Mike Bono, Rick Dickens, Bart Geiger, Kitty Gilbert, Carl Marriott, Bill Miller, Dr. Steve Dennis, Tim Petley, Paul Piot, All-State Selection Jeff Selenke, All-District Selection Scott Schoenig, Rick Schultz, Jim Cruz, Mark Weidmeyer, Assistant Coach Mike Diesel, and we have the wife of the late head coach John Mazel, Mrs. Georgia Mazel, with us here tonight. And speaking on behalf of the 77 state champions, please welcome to the podium All-Staters Brent Buckman and Jeff Selenke.
That means Jeff doesn't get his talk. I guess we are the last group tonight, bringing up the rear, and I know everybody heard the saying that they always save the best till last. Yeah. But after seeing all these very talented and gifted athletes and coaches, I don't think that's true tonight. But we are, as a team, I think I can speak for these gentlemen here, that we are very honored to be included in this distinguished group of coaches and athletes to be inducted into the St. Joe Hall of Fame for the 2025 class. So thank you, gentlemen. It's great to be here with you guys tonight. I'm just going to do a quick synopsis of the season. Like Brett was saying, we ended up 27-5. During the regular season, we were 20-5, and back in those days, during those 25 games, we played, I believe, two 2A schools. The rest were 3A, 4A, and maybe even a 5A there somewhere. So we always played up during our season. And during that year, Lafayette were the defending 76 3A state champion. We ended up playing them 5 times. So those 5 losses that we had, were 3 of them to Lafayette, and we beat them twice. And so that was one of our toughest schedules we had. Our other loss was a loss to Liberty High School in the LeBlond tournament, and they were ranked in the top 5 in 4A that year, and we lost by 1 point to them. And then Maryville, which was a fine team that year, they beat us. So those were our 5 losses. But we beat a lot of great teams along the way. Let's see, what else have I got here for you? So I do want to make a quick, you mentioned the teams we beat, so I do want to make a quick side note. I know Coach Tabor's the honors for his football, but just a side note that he was our freshman coach, basketball. And so we were 15-0 back then, so he actually starts on a win to be the state champions. Also want to make a quick note that these gentlemen here are some of the best players I had the opportunity to play with. I will say that during our LeBlanc Hall of Fame induction, I stated that all these players who we may not have been as individuals some of the best players in the city, but as team, we were the best in the city. And for that 1 year, we were the best in the state. So thank you very much, gentlemen. I'm going to leave it off to Jeff.
Well, I'm just going to do a quick story, a little acknowledgement, and thank you for this honor from the St. Joe Hall of Fame Commission. I was asked many years ago if winning that state championship was easy. Hell no, it wasn't easy. It was fun. We made it look fun. Maybe that's what made it look easy, but it was fun. But it wasn't fun only because of what we did. It was because of you, everyone here. And that's what I want to acknowledge now. I want to thank Coach John Heisel, rest in peace. I want to thank Coach Mike Cecil. Those 2 coaches were the best. I want to thank our faculty, great faculty, Coach Taylor. Our cheerleaders, they were the greatest. Not that my experience could be easy. I want to thank our alumni, our booster club, as well as Miss Georgia Bison. Thank you for those chocolate chip cookies. Dan Dickey, thank you very much for everything you did. Keeping books, helping the coaches out when they needed it. Father Roger, pre-game prayer every game. Post-game, cheese and crackers after the game. As well, I'd like to thank our parents, our family. Without them, we wouldn't even be able to make it to the games. So, and last but certainly not least, I'd like to thank God the Almighty, our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ, the true inspiration of sacrifice. Thank you.
Team inductees to the St. Louis Maryland Sports Hall of Fame, the 1977 Bishop Award Gold Eagle, state champions. Well done, gentlemen. Ladies and gentlemen, how about one more big round of applause for our 2025 Hall of Fame class. Well, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for attending this evening. A lot to celebrate here in St. Joe. 2 final quick notes. I want to thank our media partners for believing in this event, promoting this event. I want to thank our Hall of Fame committee for their tireless efforts. Mr. Gary Smith up here at the podium. Also want to point out our auction. You might have noticed some auction items that helps benefit Hall of Fame development. That closes tomorrow night at 9 o'clock, so still plenty of time to find an auction item you like. Ladies and gentlemen, we do this ceremony in late August every year. Hopefully you know somebody that deserves to be in the St. Joseph Area Hall of Fame. Pick up a nomination packet on your way out tonight. Thank you for your support, ladies and gentlemen, and have a great rest of your evening.